Hi soulmates, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be learning how to make an extended peplum with a cut together sleeve. My result is the one in the middle, so let's get right into the video. I'm just going to draw my starting line from which we're going to be taking all our essential measurements. So from my starting line, I'm going to take my bust point 11 inches. I'll come up by 2 inches for my chest line, 14 inches for my under bust, and 18 inches for my waistline. And I'll be connecting all the lines with my ruler. For my neckline, I'm going to be doing 3 inches for the width, and for the depth 3.5 inches. You can make yours higher depending on what you want. My shoulder measurement is 15 inches. I'm going to divide it by 2, that is 7.5 inches. On that point, I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and I'll be connecting it with a slant to the neckline. I'm just going to label my pattern, my waistline, under bust, bust line, bust point, and the upper one is the chest line. So now I'm just going to connect my neckline. My chest line is 8 inches. So I'm going to take my shoulder measurement under my neckline, making sure it is 7.5, and I'm going to connect to get my armhole. I'll connect from the chest line to the shoulder slope. I'll take my armhole and I'll divide it by 2 to get the midpoint, which is 4 inches, and I'm going to come in by 0.5 inch to get my armhole curve. I'll take my bust measurement, quarter of my bust measurement, and I'm going to be connecting my armhole curve to the bust measurement. Remember, this peplum has a cut together sleeve, so I'm just going to use 3 inches as shown for my sleeve. So I'm going to be extending it from my armhole. I'll mark 3 inches. So from that 3 inches mark, I'm still going to come down by 1 inch to make the sleeve relax. So we don't want it to be standing. So I'm just going to come down by 1 inch. I'll be placing my ruler as shown, and I'm just going to make a curve, and that will be all for our cut together sleeve. I'll also place my ruler using the curve part so that we can just get that curvy edge. We do not want that point to be sharp. The dart we're going to be using for this peplum, I'm going to be taking my dart measurement and divide it by 2. I have 8 inches from my nipple to nipple, and I'm going to divide it by 2, which is 4 inches. The length of my dart is going to be 6 inches, which I just marked, and I connected it with my ruler. So I'm going to be taking ½ inch on both sides for the legs of my dart. Now after marking, I'm going to connect it with my ruler as shown. Now for my bust measurement, I'm going to take my exact bust measurement and my waist measurement. I'm going to be replacing my dart of 1 inch by the side, and I'll connect from my waistline to my extended sleeve line. I did not add any sewing allowance on my pattern. I'm going to be adding that on my fabric. Now if you want a bust dart, you're just going to come down by your bust point. The difference between your half length, the front half length and the back half length, maybe 2 inches. You're just going to mark 2 inches from the bust point downwards. You mark 2 inches and you connect it to the nipple to nipple measurement. I'm just going to extend it and show you what I'm saying. So you take 2 inches downwards towards the under bust and you just connect as shown. You cut it out, so your half length is going to be relaxed. I'm not going to be using this bust point for this tutorial, but I'm just saying, just in case you want to use it, this is how you do it. I'm just going to close that up and we'll continue with the tutorial. I placed my front pattern on my back pattern. The difference between my front pattern and my back pattern is the zipper allowance of 1 inch. On the waistline, I came in by 0.5 inch and I'm just going to connect to eliminate zipper bulge. The neckline for the back pattern, I just came down by 1 inch and I'm going to curve it all the way to the zipper allowance line. I'll be using this Ankara print fabric for this tutorial. So since I did not add any seam allowance to my pattern, I'm just going to add it to my fabric and cut it out. On the extended sleeve line, I added about ½ inch because I'm going to be using lining on this peplum top. On my neckline, I did not add any allowance, and also on the shoulder line, I did not add any allowance. So feel free to add your allowance. So here is my front piece, and I'm just going to add sewing allowance to the side and also the extended sleeve part. I went ahead to cut lining for my front and back piece that I'll be using to finish my neckline, my armhole, and also the shoulder. Now after turning my fabric with my lining, this is what it looks like. I went ahead to give this a good press. I impute my dart and also finish up my shoulder line. This is what it looks like after sewing. And also the armhole, the extended sleeve part, I also turned it with my lining. This is the upper part of our peplum and it is ready. And this is what it is looking like already. The lower part of my peplum, I'm going to measure my waist circumference divide by 4, and I had 19 inches after taking my waist circumference divide by 4 from the starting point. So you're going to start from the point that is folded, the folded part, not the open part, because that is where it's going to be the middle. So I want to turn this with my lining. You can decide to use one piece and fold it, but I do not want to fold it. I want to finish it up. So I'm going to be using this to turn it over, and I'm going to sew on the edge, the 2 edges. I'm going to be sewing it straight and I'll close it up. And for the back piece, it's still going to be a long piece like this, but the difference between that is 1 inch for zipper allowance. So when you're cutting your back piece, add 1 inch for zipper allowance. And the length of your peplum should be the length of the length that you want. So you take out what you already used for the half length, what is remaining, you're going to add maybe 1 or 1.5 inch allowance to it, and that will be the full length of your peplum. Now I'm going to notch the middle part of my front piece, and I'm going to be showing you how I'll be attaching the peplum, the extended peplum, to this half length part. So I'm going to take the middle part of my peplum and place it on the middle part of my half length. I will use my pin to hold it in place, and I'll be demonstrating with my finger on how you're going to sew this piece to the half length and where you should stop. So from the middle, as shown, you're going to sew all the way. You see that where you have your seam allowance, your side seam allowance, you're going to stop at that point. That is where you're going to stop. You sew it and stop there, and make sure you back stitch so it doesn't lose. And what we have left will be for our extended peplum. Now for the back piece, you're going to take the other piece of the back, and you're going to be adding it from the zipper allowance part, that part which is open. From the zipper allowance part, you're going to add it, sew it up, and you're going to stop at that same seam allowance which you used for the first extended peplum. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. Please, you have to rewatch the video again if you do not understand what I'm explaining. So I'm just going to take that to my sewing machine, and I'll be back. So after sewing, this came out really nice, really nice. So I sewed the zipper allowance, and I stopped at the side seam. I sewed the front part and also stopped at the side seam, and what we have left is for the peplum. So after sewing, I'm going to add my zipper. I'll be adding my zipper to the back of this top, and you can see how beautiful this peplum top came out. It came out really beautiful. So to my existing subscribers, thank you so much for sticking around. To my new subscribers, you are welcome to the channel. Please do not forget to hit on the subscribe button if you are new here. Please give this video a thumbs up, and I'm sure you watch this video to the end. Do not forget to drop your comments and also your question. And this is what this top looks like on me after sewing. This is my outcome, and I'm sure I used about 2.5 yards for this top. So tell me what you think in the comment section. I will be seeing you in my next video. Bye.